come to talk with you again, because a vision
Myris Jones has a life-threatening brain tumour.
I've never sort of said, God, why me? Because I just sort of think, well, why not me? You know, you're no better than anybody else, are you?
still remains within the sound of silence.
Mags, Beryl, Dorothy and myself were students in Manchester together, and we always tried to meet up 2 or 3 times a year.
Myris is in a desperate situation. If left alone, the tumour will kill her. But to operate on it will leave her deaf.
We thought it was the ideal opportunity to come here to Donegal, because this is the last time that we'll all be together where I can hear.
Myris must also learn what life will be like without hearing and prepare for this traumatic change in her life.
Seaweed's good for you, girls.
I was just thinking, Dorothy, this is the last time that I'll hear the waves.
That's what she said last time she'd hear the waves.
Isn't it awful? Huh?
You never know. You never know.
So it'll be very, very silent, and all I'll have is the tinnitus in my ears.
Yeah?
So it won't be a quiet world, it'll be a noisy world, but with sounds I don't want.
Myris suffers with a rare condition called Acoustic Neuroma. It affects 1 in 100,000 people. This year's reunion is filled with poignancy as Myris tries to come to terms with what lies ahead. She fears this may be the last time she'll hear her friends' laughter and be able to join in the fun.
One night there was this hell of a screech, and Beryl was on top of the bed next to nothing, screaming her head off. And I saw this mouse going under the meat cupboard, so of course, in my usual authoritative way, I said, for God's sake, woman, get aside and I'll sort this mouse out. The main thing I'm going to miss, and I know I'm going to miss it a lot, is talking to people. I know people say that you can lip read, but the best lip readers only pick up 40% of what's said. So a lot of it is guesswork. And the spontaneity of everyday conversation goes when you become deaf.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
I think to myself, if I paint a good black picture, it might turn out to be light grey in the end. Whereas if I go in thinking everything's going to be rosy, I'm going to come out, you know, fuming because things didn't go as well as I anticipated.
At home on Anglesey with her family, Myris has always led a healthy and active life. But all that changed one day, 2.5 years ago.
I was at work and suddenly I lost my hearing in the right-hand side. I thought that my ears just needed syringing, and 2 hours later I started vomiting. My balance had gone completely and I was just vomiting most of the time. So I thought I'd had a bug.
Her youngest son, Rodri, is home to support her.
I made an appointment to go into the surgery on the Monday. I went in and they said I had viral labyrinthitis and they gave me tablets to stop the vomiting. I'm going to go for a scan, haven't I, on Monday morning. So subconsciously I think I thought that there was something wrong there, although everybody kept on saying it's viral labyrinthitis, and deep down I thought, no, there's something there.
Myris then insisted on seeing a consultant for a clear diagnosis.
Perhaps if I hadn't asked to see a consultant, if I hadn't had the MRI scan, I'd probably maybe sitting here now, still not knowing, you know, unaware that I still had this tumour in my head. So by the time that they would have found out, it might have been too late to do anything about it.
A scan confirmed her worst fears, that there was something very badly wrong. A rare brain tumour was growing and pressing on the brain stem.
I hadn't had any preparation to be told that I had a tumour. So the first feeling was your heart sort of, you know, gives a sort of a flip. And I wasn't upset, it was just interest really initially. You know, what is this tumour, what kind of a tumour, I wanted to know more about it.
6 months later, it's time for another scan to see if the tumour has grown.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you ready?
Yeah.
Right, come on through.
Myris has been told that she needs an operation to remove it. That could lead to facial paralysis and other unpleasant side effects. She has lost her hearing in one ear already, but this treatment will make her profoundly deaf.
Want to lie yourself down onto your back.
And I'm going to be hoping like hell that I won't need to go for the operation. But something deep down tells me not to be so sure of that. I think it's getting worse. But until I get it on black and white, I won't know. But whether it's getting worse at a speed that something needs to be done about it now, this minute, I don't know. But it won't be too long, I don't think.
Just check on that image that we're in the right place. We're over the ears.
Myris's worst fears were realised. The tumour had grown.
There's a difference down here.
It's life-threatening in that it's not a malignant tumour, it's a non-malignant tumour. But the problem with this tumour is that it's like a band-aid plaster. It sticks to whatever it touches, like super glue. And the difficulty they have is getting that tumour off without damaging whatever it's touching, because it tends to bring the other surfaces away with it. The tumour, as it grows out in a pear shape to touch the brainstem, wraps itself round the facial nerve, which runs, there are 8 nerves I think that run somewhere through that canal. And amongst those nerves, the important ones are the facial nerve and the balance nerve. And it wraps itself around and touches that nerve. So those are the nerves that are mainly damaged by removal. I've had my bag packed for the hospital. That's my way, not of being morbid, but of being prepared in case I have to go in quickly. I've got all the list of medication I'm on, date of birth, blood group, everything's written down in the bag. And that's my way of saying, I'm ready for you, I've got my case ready, go on, I dare you. It's a way of tempting fate, really. My luck might run out, but it's worked so far, so that's the way I cope with it.
It's not just Myris that's been affected. Gareth, her husband, has also been suffering since he first heard the news.
Gareth was absolutely speechless, actually. I don't think he uttered more than about one sentence all night. He just sat in the chair in the kitchen, and he didn't say much after that. I just did the talking, really, told him about it, so I think he was in sort of shock, total shock. And he got his fear, or Gareth is fine because Gareth is a lone person and he's a survivor. If he was dumped in the middle of a desert, Gareth would survive. And he doesn't mind the sound of silence. But to me, I love having the choice of having the peace around me. But I also like having the choice of joining people as well.
To prepare for a world of silence, Myris sets off to the Link Centre for the Deaf and Deafened in Eastbourne, where she'll learn how to lip read. Her daughter, Gwenllian, has come to see them off.
Sometimes she is like a little girl, like she's going off on a trip now. Right, Dad's going with her, but I just feel I want to hold her because she doesn't know what's in store.